I was lied to, and so are you, about fitness. When I was starting out at fitness, I was 5'7" and 160 pounds, maybe 157 pounds. And everyone looked at me and told me, hey, you need to lose weight. And I looked at it and I looked around and I'm like, hey, I agree. I do need to lose some weight because my clothes weren't fitting how I wanted. And going to the fitting room was not a fun experience. It was an emotional experience of trying to find something that I felt like I looked good in. And I care about how I look. And seeing like the clothes not fitting, not feeling good, not looking good, and just trying to be on trends and then like messing up a lot. But I didn't have the body image I was looking for, and everyone told me that if I want to have the body image that I wanted, I would have to get leaner. And by leaner, they meant losing fat. And I was 5'7", 157 pounds at that time, and I was at a perfectly healthy weight for my height. And I didn't need to lose fat. That was what everyone told me, that you need to lose fat. Rather than focusing on how much fat that I had to lose, I wish someone told me that, hey, instead of trying to lose fat, focus on gaining muscle. Don't worry about cutting. Don't worry about bulking. You are the weight that you are. Currently, right now, you're brand new to this. Focus on building muscle and try to stay at the same weight. If it goes up, cut your calories a little bit. If it goes down, increase your calories a little bit, but stay at that weight. And rather than trying to go for the short term thinking where everyone goes just like rapidly lose all this fat and then you can start bulking, I wish someone told me it's just like, hey, if you stay at this weight, which is perfectly healthy for your height, and don't think about 3 months, don't think about 6 months, think about it in a year. I know you want to lose fat. I know you want to look like this. But rather than trying to think about what you can achieve in this year, look at the long term picture. You're stuck with your body for your whole life. Take it slow. And at that time, if I focused on just building muscle and staying at that weight, that would have allowed me to eat what I wanted. It would have reduced my stress because I wouldn't have to learn how to calorie count. I wouldn't have to watch every calorie like a maniac. I could do the cardio and all that stuff without being like, oh, is this touching into my food and stuff like that? And I would have had a lot of energy. When I was so focused on trying to lose fat and like cutting my calories that I did insane things. Like even when I was younger, all the way until recently, I was so focused on it. Like when I was in high school and I was at that point senior year, I wanted like by the end of senior year, I wanted to look good. What I was doing was I was waking up at 5:30 in the morning. I would do cardio from 6 to 7, whole hour cardio. And I would then go to school and then you get all your steps and stuff in school. So you get quite a bit. And then after that, I went to CART, which so I didn't have PE or anything like that. But then after CART, which ended at 3:30, I went to the gym with a personal trainer from 4 to 5 and did pretty much circuit and hit training for another hour. And then after I was done with the gym, I went to jujitsu at the time and I did a 2 hour class. And on the days that I didn't have the jujitsu class, I would go to the gym and hit another hour of cardio. I was working around 3 to 4 hours of physical activity per day. And I was eating 1,600 calories. I had no energy. I couldn't think. And I thought it was me. I thought it was me. No one told me around me to increase my calories. If anybody, everyone was like, you're doing such a good job. You're looking slightly better. But I wasn't getting the results I was looking for. If anything, I was getting results way slower than I should have. Even with a personal trainer, I wasn't even losing 1 pound a week. I wasn't even losing 1 pound like every 2 weeks. I was pretty much like I started probably at 160 pounds with a personal trainer, and then by the time like 4 or 5 months passed, just getting constant lessons with them and doing all that stuff, I probably dropped down to maybe 154, maybe 155. In 5 months, I lost like 5 pounds. And it's not because I was eating too much. It was actually because I was eating way too little. And everyone around me was telling me, move more, eat less. And my fault slightly for taking it to the extreme of being like, oh, you know what? They told me to eat less. So this calculator here says I need 16 to 1800 calories for 4 hours of activity. And so I'm going to follow it to a T. And I did that, and my weight didn't move at all. Like, I didn't feel better. I didn't look really any much more leaner. Granted, I was gaining muscle and I was losing fat, but not at the rate that I should have. Not for someone who was brand new to the gym. And then it's just, and it was short term thinking. And I think if I was to go back, what I wish someone told me was to think long term. And that is to exercise right. And rather than being like, should I cut or should I bulk? If I went back in time, let's say I had someone that was at my age and he was right in front of me and he's just like, hey, what should I do to get my physique? I would say, hey, first of all, don't worry about cutting. Don't worry about bulking. Right now, for your height and at the weight you are on the scale, you are adequately healthy. What's unhealthy about you is how much you lack muscle. Not how much fat you have, how much muscle you lack. So rather than focusing on a number of like fat, you're focusing on muscle. And rather than trying to highlight all the minuses about you, you're highlighting a plus that can only get better. The more you work out, the more muscle you build. The more muscle you build at the same weight, the more fat you're replacing with muscle. And so if you're like 103 pounds, let's not count bones and like body mass or like liquids, but let's say you're 150 pounds and 100 pounds of you is muscle and the other 50 pounds of you is fat. Like, it's not gonna, you want to improve that ratio. And so that's what, like 20, maybe 30% body fat. But let's say you're now 130 pounds of muscle and 20 pounds of fat. Now you're way below, like, you're probably like near like 15% body fat. You're going to have light abs. And let's say it was 140 pounds of muscle and like 10 pounds of fat. You're like below 10%, which is insane and also not really healthy. But improving that ratio would have been a lot healthier for like someone to tell someone at that age. And I would tell them, it's just like, hey, this circuit training, it's not helping you. Doing circuit training, it looks like you're getting results, but once you stop, you lose your results quickly because you're just doing a bunch of pump training. At that time, I could do like 50, 60, 70 push-ups in a row, but then the second I took a week break, I could probably do like maybe 15. And at that point, I'm like, oh no. And then you become an addict to the gym. You get addicted to like your performance, which also sucks because then you're always feeling like you're trying to catch up or you're trying to maintain this peak state. But instead of doing circuit training, it's just like, hey man, think like a power lifter. And don't be a power lifter, but think like it. It's just like, how can I maximally lift this load? I would tell someone in my thing, it's just like, hey, you want to go grow a chest? You want to have a nice pecs? All you got to do is a 3x3 of a heavy weight of anywhere from 80 to 90% for 3 reps, for 3 sets with an adequate warm-up. And that's the only thing you do. If you want a big bench, the only thing you do for this whole month is bench. Come in every day and just bench. That's it. And after you're done benching, just do some recovery work. Just do some light push-ups, do some banded stretches, and you know what? Do some like 10 minutes of cardio and call it a day. And that advice would have been 100 times helpful. I mean, look at someone who follows this exact advice. Actually, it's where I got his system from. It's Eric Bugenhagen. What he does is he hits 1 rep maxes, and then after that, he hits an AMRAP, which means as many reps as possible of a certain weight. So let's say he got a 200-pound bench for 1 rep, and then he would hit an AMRAP of like, let's say 150 pounds and see how many reps he does. And I do it a little differently, is that my AMRAP, I max it out at 10. So let's say I hit a 200-pound bench. After that, let's say I do 140 pounds. If I got a 200-pound bench and I did 140 for 10, that means I can up the weight of my AMRAP. Now let's say the next workout, I get 205 on the bench and I get 150 for 6. That means I stay at 150. Well, let's say the next workout, I get 210 pounds on the bench and I get 150 pounds for 8. I still stay at 150. all the way until I can hit 10. Even though my top set went up, my AMRAP stays the same because I want to have that consistency. And then let's see. And then 10 minutes of cardio, just so you're not like powerlifters, they're scared of cardio. It's how you like they get gassed talking. You don't want to be that person. Now, I say 10 minutes of steady state cardio just to kind of keep you going, keep you like your cardiovascular healthy, keep that blood pumping. But I also do some like right now I'm doing kettlebell swing ladders, or like I do some heavy bag work, and that taxes your cardio in a different way. So get like two different forms of cardio, one steady state and one a little bit more explosive. Like it doesn't have to be like sprints, that's insane, but like doing a kettlebell swing ladder, there's tons of YouTube video that can explain it way better than I can. That would help boost your cardiovascular capacities through the roof. And then finally is that let's say you do bench every single day. That's going to be tough on the joints, very tough. But there was a system created by this guy named Ben Patrick. It's called Knees Over Toes on YouTube. Now, usually when you bench every day, that is a one-way ticket to Snap City. But the way he has made his program and the joint stability program, it's insane. Like, I've benched every day. I never snapped anything. I've done back every day. Never snapped anything. I did shoulders every day. Didn't snap anything. I've done legs, hamstrings. I haven't hurt anything because I follow his program. So let's say I do chest. Immediately after do that, I just grab those like handles that help you raise off the ground, and I get 25 reps of that weight. And then I do are like 25 push-ups of full depth, full range of motion. And let's say I can't do 25 push-ups, or let's say I finish the 25 push-ups. Then I do 25 dips of the assisted dips of whatever weight I can do for 25 reps. If I can do 25 body weight, I do 25 body weight. Or I go assisted and I really focus on full range of motion. And because it's not an all max effort and it brings a lot of blood to the joints and stuff like that, it's insane not only on a recovery level, but on a joint health level. Not only are you getting stronger through your muscles, but through his system, you are getting stronger in your joints. So you're never going to end up at Snap City. And even when you kind of tweak something, and after like there was one time I was shoulder pressing and I tweaked my lower back because it was the seated one. It was not a fun experience. And like I felt that I tweaked my lower back. Immediately I'm like, okay, you know what? I got up, I went to the hyperextension machine, and whatever I could do, I just worked in that range. What could have been like a 2-3 week injury ended up being like maybe a few hours, maybe a day. But like it wasn't that big of a deal. I flew right through it because how your body works is if it's injured, you want to get blood to it. You want to get recovery to it. It's not resting it. Resting it's going to do nothing for it. But actively doing lighter loads and getting it more comfortable again in a range does insane things. Like I hurt my lower back in a car accident. I did his exercises. Physical therapy didn't really help. And I just ended up doing his exercises and I blew right past it. And so what physical therapy couldn't do in 6 weeks, what I did in 2 weeks with his program, I was perfectly healed. But anyway, that's kind of the end of my 14 minute rant. If you have any questions, leave it down below. I would love to answer it. If you have any questions on fitness, anything of like, hey, here's what I'm doing, what should I do? I'd love to answer your questions. But anyway, please like, subscribe, and comment down below. See you guys in the next video.